With the debate going on in Washington about the government's role in the health of our economy, it's important to know where your candidate stands with respect to taxes and government spending. In this clip, I asked Mr. Mosler if he considers himself fiscally liberal or conservative. This is what he had to say.
You know, it depends on who I'm talking to. People either think I'm on the far right or the far left. When I've been talking to some, I give my address to economists who are considered to be progressive. I don't know if I'm way out in left field, and I give the same address in front of the Tea Party, and they think I'm conservative, and it's the exact same message. So it's a reflection of who I'm speaking with. So, for example, I think we should have a full payroll tax holiday where the government simply stops taking, $1 trillion a year away from people working for a living. Now, from the point of view of from the Democratic point of view, this tax is highly regressive. It takes dollar, it starts from the first dollar you earn from $1, and it's capped at $106,800, which means people earning above that don't pay any more than people earning less than that. Okay, so it's highly regressive, punishing tax. Husband and wife earning $50,000 a year each, off of their salaries, $15,000 a year is going to the government. Okay, that's a lot of money, and their half comes from the employer, half comes from the employees. With my payroll tax holiday, their take-home pay would go up by over $650 a month, and which is enough so that they can make their mortgage payments if they want to, and their car payments, which would immediately end the financial crisis, because the root of the financial crisis is just one thing: people who can't make their loan payments. Okay, the problem with the banks is the delinquent loans, the toxic waste. Well, what is that stuff? It's nothing but normal loans where people can't make the payment. Whether they've been repackaged or not is moot. It still comes down to people make their loans, it's AAA, and if they don't make their loans, it's junk. Okay, so I propose this full payroll tax holiday. Well, the people on the left are in favor of it, but it's far more to the left than they would want to be. They consider that radical increase in deficit spending that is beyond their sense of fiscal responsibility. Okay, and the people on the right are all basically in favor of to them. This is far to the right of them in terms of tax cuts, because it's a far larger tax cut than they've ever imagined proposing. And so where does that put me? Am I right wing or left wing with this proposal? I have no idea. I do know that it is fiscally responsible, because the purpose of taxes is clearly not to raise revenues. Okay, because if you look at what happens when you actually pay your taxes, you write a check to the government, all they do is change the number down in your bank account. They don't actually get anything. And if you pay with actual $100 bills or $20 bills, you pay them in cash, they say thank you very much and give you a receipt, and then they throw it in the shredder. So the government, and when government spends, they don't use tax money. Okay, how does government spend? Well, Congressman Pelley asked Chairman Bernanke exactly that. Where are you getting these hundreds of billions of dollars for the banks? Where are you getting this money to spend? And he said, well, they have accounts just like you do. And we just mark the numbers up in their accounts, which is exactly how government always spends and can only spend. Government spends by changing numbers higher in somebody's bank account. So you have to look at government as the scorekeeper. Okay, so when you kick a field goal in a football game and you get 3 points, where does the stadium get those points? Like, they don't get them from anywhere, right? When the government spends money, where does it come from? It doesn't come from anywhere. The government changes numbers up in people's bank accounts when it spends and changes numbers down when it taxes. It's the scorekeeper, okay? The government never has or doesn't have any dollars, okay? There is no such thing. So when you understand that, then you see that taxes are there to regulate the economy. There's a thermostat. If the economy is too cold, you lower taxes to warm it up, give people more money to spend. If the economy is too hot, you raise taxes to take away money and cool it down, but not to pay for anything and not to give the government any money. So the fiscally conservative thing to do, the right thing to do, is to set the tax burden at a level that is right for the economy. And right now, the economy is ice cold and needs to be warmed up. We're taking far too much money away from people. We're not allowing them to make their payments and go shopping. We have to stop doing that. Right? So I consider myself, under the correct definition of fiscal responsibility, highly fiscally responsible. Fiscal responsibility means your government's responsible for getting fiscal policy right. And right now, that means, cutting the payroll tax, just eliminating it. And from a Democratic point of view, it's a regressive, punishing tax that's disproportionately hurting the people who voted for this administration. So where am I, left or right, Don?
You are the peak of the pyramid. There's a left, the right, and then there's the Warren Mosler.